You see this thin layer, it's very from far away. I'll show you a closer picture. So that's the tunica albuginea, this thin layer. This next layer is stroma and full layer is cortex. Is that clear? And this inner part is the medulla, agree? And also on the exam, if ovary, you see a membrane lying next to it. This membrane basically is the peritoneum around it. And the name of the peritoneum for the ovary is called mesovarium. In other words, if you see a piece of membrane lying next to the ovary, you know that it is the what?
Mesovarium.
Mesovarium.
So the sublayer is the stroma?
Yes, stroma, yes.
And then for the tunica albuginea.
Yes. So if it says what is this full layer, not the medulla, this full layer, you say it's the cortex. But if you say what is the specific layer or the sublayer, let me show you another picture now, Seema.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Here. Can you see this from the outside, guys? So the very thin line on the outside, obviously that's the germinal epithelium, agree?
Yep.
And inside the germinal epithelium, where you don't see the rounded stroma, can you see this layer of connective tissue, very thin connective tissue? Let me get a pointer.
Oh, I have one. I have
You have a
one.
good. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this will not damage your. I'm not going to touch it, okay? So you don't.
I don't
feel the-
care.
All right. You can see this very thin layer of connective tissue. That's the tunica albuginea. But the remainder, can you see this whole connective tissue here now?
That's the stroma.
That is the stroma. You got it? That is the what?
Stroma.
So you know where the germinal epithelium is now. And what is this full layer? All the way from here to here. Full
That's the
layer.
cortex.
You got it, everyone. You're the best. So this is what I wanted to show you. Again, germinal epithelium. This is the tunica albuginea. What is this full layer? Sublayer. Hello guys.
Stroma.
You're here for NP2.
Yep.
There are thousands of eggs. Yes, guys. What are the eggs called? Again, they have different names. They're called oocytes. What are they called?
Oocytes.
They're called oocytes. So basically, guys, if this is an oocyte, so these oocytes do not lie in the stroma as is. They have a membrane. What do they have?
A membrane.
They have a membrane around it. So let's say it has a membrane is usually made up of a layer of cells, right? So if it has one, most of them are made up of one layer of flat cells. Are they made up of?
Flat cells.
One of flat cells, or you can call this simple squamous epithelium. Who's a cuboidal? It's the squamous, isn't it? Flat cells are squamous. So the simple squamous. On the exam, if it's pointing to this cell in the middle, it says what is this cell? Around the oocyte. If the layer of cells, what did I say? The layer of cells, if it has just one layer of cells, and on the exam it says what is the name of these cells, you say that if it has one layer of cells, you will call them what cells? Follicular cells. What will you call them? And if you have more than one layer of cells, you call them what cells now? They're not follicular anymore. Now you call them the granulosa cells. Okay, what do you call them? This is the corpus luteum. Is that clear? What is blue cells called, guys?
Is that primordial?
Primordial follicle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You awesome, Carolyn. You got it, guys? So now let's look at secondary. Yeah, I don't have a secondary on the type of epithelium is this here, guys. Is it still flat?
No, simple cuboidal.
Simple cuboidal now, right? It's simple cuboidal, agree? And so if this, and how many layers is it? Is it one layer of cells or two layers of cells or three? It's just one, right? So if it's pointing to these cells, it's obviously simple cuboidal, but if it says what is the name of these cells, sorry.
Follicular.
They are still follicular. Why? Because it's still one layer of cells. Is that clear, guys? Yes? And what is this cell in the middle, this whole cytoplasm plus the nucleus? What's this whole cell? Oh God, what's the name of this? It's still oocyte. It's still oocyte, isn't it?
Yes.
It's still the oocyte, right, guys? It's still the oocyte. And what is the name of the full follicle?
Primary follicle.
Primary follicle. So everyone knows that the spaces can also appear here, but there will be smaller spaces. So this is a really huge one. And also you can see the primary, what's this pink thing around the cell?
Zona pellucida.
Now you got a zona pellucida. Good job, good job, good job. And here also, if you look at this picture here, around the cell, can you see this pink covering? That's still the
Zona pellucida.
zona pellucida. You awesome, Karina. Okay. Oh, what did I have in the antrum? We have fluid.
Yep.
And what is this cell in the middle?
Oocyte.
Oocyte. What's this pink thing around it?
Zona pellucida.
What are these cells?
The corona radiata.
Awesome. And even though this is not like a stalk, but this bunch of cells, this area that's connecting this part to the rest of the granulosa cells, what do you call this area?
The granulosa or
Oophorus. And all these remainder of the cells, all these cells, these are called the what cells? Oh no, the pink ones. Oh God, these are the
granulosa.
granulosa cells. And can you see these line-like cells around it very clearly? Everyone can see the difference between. Okay. That wasn't bad, was it? So now let's look at all the pictures that are unlabeled. So, guys, really quickly, yes?
Professor, what?
Here you see blood vessels. What will you see here?
Blood vessels.
So if you see blood vessels, and around the blood vessels you clearly see connective tissue. The second layer, you will call this layer what, guys?
Tunica vascular.
This is the tunica vasculosa. So this is outside here. This thin membrane on the outside, yes or no? That's the what?
Basement membrane.
Basement membrane. If I go back to this picture here, guys, and if it's pointing to these cells, can you see these cells here? What are these cells?
Interstitial.
No, don't look at the label. I said, what are these cells here?
I know,
Oh, God.
but I call them interstitial.
Okay, I'm sorry. I keep yelling for no reason. So I said cell, I didn't say tissue, right? What are these cells? If it's pointing to these guys, if it says, what are these cells? I'm sorry, okay, I'm kidding. These are the what cells?
Leydig.
Yeah, the Leydig cells. You understand that, guys? They're outside here. This thin membrane on the outside, yes or no? That's the what?
Basement membrane.
Basement membrane. If I go back to this picture here, guys, and if it's pointing to these cells, can you see these cells here? What are these cells?
Interstitial.
No, don't look at the label. I said, what are these cells here?
I know,
Oh, God.
but I call them interstitial.
Okay, I'm sorry. I keep yelling for no reason. So I said cell, I didn't say tissue, right? What are these cells? If it's pointing to these guys, if it says, what are these cells? I'm sorry, okay, I'm kidding. These are the what cells?
Leydig.
Yeah, the Leydig cells. You understand that, guys? They're round nucleus, right, guys? Close to the basement. What do you call these cells, guys? Spermatogonium, isn't it? You are the best. And if it's pointed to any round cell, can you see all these round cells in the middle? Yes? What are these? Spermatocytes. And then let me just pick. Can you see this round cell close to the lumen? Yes, guys, these round cells very close to the lumen. What do you call those round cells?
Spermatids.
Spermatids. And if it is pointing to anything that looks like a dark spot and tail, that's basically what, guys? Now that's the, everyone should be able to do that. Thin cells here. These thin cells, yes or no? These are the sertolized cells, okay? Can you see these thin cells here, guys? Can you see these thin cells? It doesn't look anything round. If it's pointing to anything long and thin, or long and rectangular, you will call it what, guys? Or even oval nuclei. If you see some oval nuclei, you will call them what?
The sertoli.
Sertolized cells. So you understand how to identify the sertolized cells, yes or no?
Yes.
Tunica?
Albuginea.
Oh, God, vasculosa is here. This is albuginea. We have blood vessels here, so this is what, guys? This connective tissue? Vasculosa. As I said, I don't like this picture, but you just need to know if there's a connective tissue, albuginea, and if you see a connective tissue around blood vessels, you call it tunica. It should be very clear on the exam, okay, guys? Better than this. You the best. They are called seminiferous tubules. And what are these cells here called between the tubules?
Leydig.
You are awesome. They're called the Leydig cells. And each of the seminiferous tubules, what are these empty spaces?
Lumen.
Lumen. Good job. It's hard to see here, but let's look at a bigger picture. Yeah. So this whole thing, what's this membrane on the outside? This membrane on the outside of the tubule? You are awesome. Basement membrane. So if it's pointing to anything, this rounded cell close to the basement membrane, what would you call these? Spermatogonia or spermatogonium. And if it's pointing to any cell in the middle, they are the spermatocytes. And anything round here. Can you see this round here? Yes, what is this round? Spermatid. And if it's pointing to this dark spot and tail, what is this whole thing?
Spermatozoa.
Spermatozoa. Good job. And as I said, anything that does not look round or spermatozoa, they are what, guys? They are the sertolized cells. So you're listening to me, guys. On the exam, if it points to anything, can you see this whole pink area, guys? Or even these oval cells. Can you see this oval nuclei? So again, what did I say? Any cell that does not look round or spermatozoan, you would call them what?
Sertolized.
So just remember that. You should. If you don't remember that, you'll get that question wrong. Okay. All right. You understand what I said? All right. Here also, you can, if you know the drill, you can do it. Okay. Any questions? Any other quick questions? We still have. We did the whole histology in 1 hour. Call it the renal corpuscle. You should know the difference, okay, guys? The renal corpuscle has two things. One occasional, but this is the medulla. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. What is this region? Quickly.
Cortex.
Everyone understand it's the cortex? What is this region?
Cortex.
If this is the cortex, what is this thing in the middle called? Oh, you the best. That's the glomerulus, isn't it? Where's line? You're with us? Oh, yeah. So that's the glomerulus. Agree? Yes?
Yes, sir.
But, and if it's pointing to this thin line on the outside, this thin covering, what do you call this thin thing?
Capsule. No. Bowman capsule.
Yeah, good job, very good. Bowman capsule, good job. And what's this empty space in the middle called?
Capsular space.
That's capsular space. But if it says, what is this full thing?
Renal corpuscle.
Now you got it, guys. You are the best. Go sleep, guys. You don't need to study. You know everything, guys. Really empty from the inside. Really empty from the inside. This is the what type? Where you don't see any microvilli. What does it say up there? See now?
Yep.
This is the lumen. So the lumen here is very empty, white. Here it's not. You see these microvilli. So you see these bunch of cells.
Okay.
Yes. So the lumen is not clear. It is proximal, and if it is clear, it is
Lumen. Distal.
First of all, everyone understand this? And then the two types of cells are these. Is that clear? If you know the answer, I'm going to ask a question. If you know the answer, distal, or this proximal or distal?
Distal.
This is a trick question.
Is neither?
Oh, that's a very good answer. Why is it neither, guys?
Because the medulla.
This is not the cortex. This is the medulla. You don't see any corpuscle here, do you? Everyone understand that, guys? Okay, it's not a trick. First of all, look for the region. Understand what I said? What is this region? Cuboidal ones. Can you see the cuboidal ones? Can you see this one here, guys? Can you see the lines between the cells? Yes or no? Can you see it here? Yes or no?
Barely.
Barely. If you don't see it, these are the thick segments. Like, can you see the line in this one and this one?
Yes.
Can you see the line in this one and this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you cannot see it in these four?
Right.
Everyone understand how to identify the thick?
Okay.
The collecting. You have the whole pyramid, that's the medulla, and this outer part is the cortex, and this covering is the
Capsule.
capsule. So that part is awesome. What is this region?
The cortex.
You are the best. Everyone understand why this is the cortex, guys? Because you see a lot of corpuscles here. Let me look at a closer picture. On the exam, if it is pointing to this structure, guys, what would you call it?
Glomerulosa.
If it's pointing to glomerulus,
Yeah.
if it's pointing to this thin membrane, what do you call it?
Bowman's capsule.
You the best. And if when pointing to this empty space, you call it the
Capsular space.
capsular space. You are awesome. Let me get a closer picture here now. Again, this is the Bowman's capsule, capsular space. What's this whole thing?
Glomerulus.
Glomerulus. So on the exam, if it is pointing to this tubule or this tubule, what would you call this? Look at my list. Come on.
Yeah, those are distal.
Everyone agrees this is a distal, guys?
Yeah.
Seema, you good? You good?
Yep.
Yeah. I told you this was easy. Do you believe me now? All right.
So Bowman's capsule, it doesn't always have to be a white. It could be a thick.
Any color, but it will be, yeah, you're right. It can be any color.
And
but it
then
will be
right next to it, between the glomerulus, that's the capsule space.
That's a capsular space, yes.
Okay.
Capsular space,
It's
yes.
capsular space.
Excellent, yes, you got it. Guys, look for the thin one first. Can you see these thin guys? These are the thin segments. But now if you look at this one and this one, these are simple cuboidal. So what would you call these two guys?
Thick.
Everyone agrees they're the thick segment? Hello, Erica. And what would you call this one here?
Thin.
Connecting duct. Collecting.
Collecting duct. You guys are awesome. It's easy, isn't it? Thick segments, agree? If you know the drill, rest is easy. Any picture you get in the world, you can answer them, right? Dominant aorta. So what's this red branch of it? That's the renal. Any branches you see in the renal pelvis area, they are the segmental. What are they, guys? Segmental. And since these pyramids form the lobes, so anything that's running in between the pyramids, they are called the what? Lobar. Interlobar. Thank you so much. They're called the interlobar arteries. And then once they reach the base of the pyramid, they form an arc-like structure and they go towards the base. Yes or no? So this whole arc-like structure is now called the arcuate artery.
Yes.
And from the arcuate artery, we have these arteries branching out where the
Cortical
cortical
radius.
radius. So this part is not bad, right?
Yeah.
In this model, but no, we don't have segmental. All the interlobar veins empty into the renal vein directly. Is that clear, guys? So the only difference is we don't have segmental veins, all right? Yeah, we can see glomerulus, efferent arteriole, right, guys? And these are the, yes, guys? Correct?
Yep.
It goes into the collecting duct. Yeah? And where is this afferent arteriole coming from? It's a branch of what?
Abdominal artery.
Oh God, who said that?
Oh,
This is the cortical radiate artery, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Remember the cortical radiate arteries?
Yep.
So any branch that is coming out of the cortical radiate artery, what is that, guys? That's a,
Afferent.
and the afferent arteriole becomes a what? Glomerulus. And the glomerulus then becomes the efferent arteriole. And this efferent arteriole forms a capillary bed around the tubules. What do you call that? You call them the peritubular capillaries. You understand what I'm having? These peritubular capillaries eventually will go and it will open into what, guys? Cortical radiate. You understand that? You understand that whole thing? Yep. So the rest is easy. And as I said before also, you know this portion, the last portion of the distal convoluted. What is this portion called of the distal convoluted tubule? It's called the connecting. And what's the very last portion of the collecting duct called? Yeah, these are the extra connecting tubules, and this last portion is called what? You the best, you the capillary duct, alright? Great. So now the middle, that's the,
Glomerulus.
what's this white thing around it?
The Bowman's capsule.
That's the Bowman's capsule. And on this picture, you cannot see the different layers of the capsule. We cannot see the visceral or the.
Parietal.
This is the only place where we are going to see the different layers. Okay, we cannot see the two layers. We can see them, but you don't need to know them for the exam for the histology. You don't need to know them for the exam here. But this is the only place you should be able to differentiate between the visceral and the parietal layers. All right. So just attached to the capsule is the proximal, and then we have the whole thing is the loop. But what is this specific part? Descending limb, and this is the ascending, and ascending leads where, guys? To the distal, and this very last portion, guys. Can you see this part that's attached to the collecting like this or this or this or this? These are the connecting tubules. Okay, this is just to give you a hard time. I don't know why. Yes or no? These are the connecting. And when many collecting ducts, it's not shown here, but this one collecting duct, another opens. This very last part on the exam, if you see this part, it's pointing to the last portion of the collecting duct. What would you call this one? Papillary duct. What's this whole thing called, guys? This whole...
Medulla.
Oh, no, I didn't say region, structure. That's a key thing.
Pyramid.
Oh yeah, I should do that first. So if it says, what is this region? Medulla. What is this region? Cortex. And again, a good way for me to, one is that medulla tells you, and also these one structure, guys. That's the pyramid, but what's this last portion here? This portion.
Papilla.
Everyone understands the papilla, guys?
Yep.
If I'm going too fast, slow me down. I have to finish it, right? Alright, so you know the different parts of tubule. Can anyone tell me, guys, what's this tubule? Anyone?
Ascending.
Yeah, that's a trick question.
Descending.
So you don't need to know thick and thin for the nephron. Just know the ascending and descending part. Thick and thin is only for the histology. So my question was, is this ascending or descending?
Descending.
So be careful, okay, guys? Follow this one. This is the proximal. Next to the proximal, this is descending. You're right.
Okay.
And then ascending is attached to the distal. Okay, so don't get confused. Students get confused because earlier we said this is descending, this is ascending. But now this is ascending, this is descending. Everyone understand this? Good job. And this last part is the collecting. Distal, convoluted tubule, distal, and what's this last portion here? Connecting, right? That's the connecting. So here, guys, or the blue one.
Cortical radiate.
Who said this is cortical radiate?
That's
Interlobar.
Lobar.
So don't use the word interlobular. Actually, the cortical radiate are also called interlobular. But there, if you use both interlobar lobular, students interchange them. I don't want them to do that. So call this the interlobar. And these ones are called what, guys? These are called the cortical radiate. And all those branches, can you see all those small arteries attached to the cortical radiate? What would you call these ones on the picture? Come on. What are the branches of the cortical radiate arteries called? They are the afferent. You're the best. They are called the afferent arterioles. So on the exam, if it is pointing to these blood vessels, all these small blood vessels that are coming out of this, all these small, they're all the afferent. And the afferent enters the renal corpus of the one that's leaving it now. What's the one that's leaving it called? Efferent now. That's called efferent, right? And what happens to that efferent?
Wait, which ones are the ones that are leaving?
So this one is entering it, right?
Okay.
And this one is it enters here. This is the clear one. Okay, see, it enters here. Afferent, it becomes a glomerulus, then it becomes the efferent. Agree or no?
Yes.
Afferent, glomerulus, efferent.
Got it.
Yes. And what happens to the efferent, guys? It becomes a what?
PTC.
Peritubular capillary. So basically, if you see a network, you see this network or this network, and this is more obvious. What is this network of? You don't see the tubules here, but what is this network of capillaries called?
Peritubular.
They are the peritubular capillaries. And what happens to the peritubular capillaries? They drain into the cortical radiate vein. Agree or no?
Yes.
Here. Can you see these veins?
Yeah.
right? This is the only place you see it, right? So in the cortical nephrons, the nephrons that are in the cortex, reticular capillary. You are the best, Carolyn. They are called the vasa recta. What are they called, guys? You've heard of that before, right? Don't say no, right? Any question about the vasa recta? If you see anything, blood capillaries, all these are the vasa recta. Okay, these are the vasa recta. So are we done with all the arteries and the veins? The renal corpuscle. Renal corpuscle has two things. What's this red thing in the middle? The glomerulus, right, guys? And what's this part? That's a capsule, right? And the capsule has how many layers? 2 layers. The layer that's attached to, again, in this case, the glomerulus, we'll think of this as the organ or the viscera, so that's a visceral layer. And the one on the outside is a parietal layer. So on this, what did I do? On this picture, guys, when you see the red blood vessels, this is the glomerulus. Is that clear, guys?
Yes.
But on this second half, you can see this thin layer of the capsule. These are the podocytes. They're covering it. So this yellow part. Hello. This is what, guys? This is the visceral layer. What's this layer?
Parietal.
And what's the space between?
Capsular.
You got it, guys. So now you know the. If I'm going fast, slow me down, right, guys? This is the what layer? Parietal.
Visceral.
And the space is the
Capsular.
capsule. So on the exam, it says what is this full thing? Renal corpuscle. But if it says what is the specific part? Glomerulus. But if it's pointing to these two guys, this and this two, and this is the visceral layer, and this is the. It's a Bowman's capsule has 2 layers. Look at there.
Oh, right.
Visceral and the parietal layer, isn't it?
Okay.
This whole thing is a. So this is not just a Bowman's capsule. This and this together is a Bowman's capsule, right? And these two together are called the Bowman's capsule, and this is the visceral layer, this is the parietal layer, and this is the space. Okay, guys?
Yep.
You with me?
Yep. Right.
And then we also studied the juxtaglomerular apparatus or the juxtaglomerular what do you call it? The complex in the lecture. It usually is composed of these 3 things, but in this picture you can see these specific cells exposed here, cells exposed here. So on the exam, if it is pointing to these 2 structures, glomerular apparatus. So in the previous picture, how did we differentiate between the afferent and the efferent? Anything attached to the cortical radiate was afferent, and anything attached to the peritubular capillary was the efferent. Yes. But on this picture, we do, one of them is afferent, one is efferent, but you don't see the cortical radiate or the peri. Yes or no? So in this is the afferent, this is the afferent. Everyone good?
Yes.
Afferent, efferent, and what's the name of this tubule called?
Distal.
It's either the distal or the ascending limb of the loop. So it's any one of them. All right, guys? It's actually a junction of both. So on the exam, if you call it the distal convoluted tubule or you call it the ascending limb of the nephron loop. Is that clear? And this whole structure together is formed. What, guys? Is forming the juxtaglomerular apparatus.
And
What is
that
this?
one is-
Sorry?
That's the one I was gonna ask.
Yeah, thank you so much. What's the name of this tubule?
Proximal.
Yes, it's the proximal. You're the best. Why are you asking? You should be confident. Good job. That's the proximal. You can see a lot of microvilli here also, right or no? So are we done with this?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No.
You are. And you can see the pyramid. You can see the papilla. You can see the minor, major pelvis. You can see the ureter. Yes.
Will there be any of like this, like that actual picture on the exam? Okay.
This will be the easiest. Okay, just trust me.
Okay. I hope so. I hope you're not lying.
Vein here.
That's
Arcuate, isn't it? That's arcuate. What are
Vein or
these?
artery?
If it says blue, it says blue. This is cortical radiate. Yes. What's this region?
cortex.
What is this region?
Medulla.
What is this region? I said region, still region.
Medulla.
Yes, but same place. What is the structure?
Pyramid.
What is the specific structure?
Minor calyx.
No, this specific
Oh,
structure.
papilla.
Papilla. Yeah, this is the minor, major, right? That's pelvis. If you know the stuff in your head, it's easy part, all right? Interlobar. Don't say lobular.
I know. It's so hard not to.
So they're between the lobes, aren't they? Let me go over them really quickly, and if I miss any of them. So this is the labia majora, minora, and this space, guys. Can you see this space here between this the vestibule? Yes. Oh God. This is the vestibule, right or no?
That's the vestibule?
Yeah, where you see the orifices.
Okay.
Where you see the orifices, they are the. Everyone understand that's the vestibule, guys. So if I go to the picture from your book, guys, majora, minora. So vestibule is this empty space between the two. Yes, guys. When separate them, that's the what, guys? That's the vestibule. So in this case, this is the vestibule. Agree, guys?
Okay.
Yes. So when we look at the vestibule now, this small erectile tissue in the front, that's the clitoris, and this opening is the opening for the urine. So that's the external urethral orifice, and this is the urethra.
Okay.
This is the urinary bladder. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
And the second opening here, that's the external vaginal orifice, This is the vagina, right, guys? And this whole thing is the uterus. Agree? And when you look at the uterus closely, for the UV first, what is this thin layer on the outside?
Serous.
That's the serous layer or the perimetrium, right? Same thing. Yeah, call it the serous layer. And what is this muscle layer?
Myometrium.
What's this inner layer?
Endometrium.
That's easy, right, guys?
Yeah.
If it says what is this layer, and now let's look at the regions. The region at the top, this dome-shaped area, that's the fundus. And this region is the
Body.
and this region is the
Cervix.
cervix. This is the cervical canal. You don't need to know, but the canal opens to the inside. That's called the internal os, but you don't need to know that. But the one, this opening towards the vagina, this is called the what os?
External.
External os. You got it, guys? So on the exam, if it is pointing here, guys, what is this layer?
Fundus.
No,
Myometrium.
Myometrium.
I got you, didn't I? I use the best. I'm kidding, guys. So you guys are awesome. So you got it. Again, same place. If it says what the region, then you call it the fundus. But if it says the layer,
Myometrium.
same here. What is this layer? That's the
Serous layer.
serous layer. But if it says what is the region,
That's body.
that's the body.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, right? And what's this tube going from the here? This tube,
Oh, that's the fallopian tube.
fallopian tube or the oviduct, yes. And this is the fembrae. And what's this ligament? Ovarian ligament. What's this ligament that's attaching this
Round
to the body?
ligament.
Round ligament. Excellent. You guys are awesome. Sleep tonight. No kidding. You should have good rest before the exam, right, guys?
We
You-
should have extra points. That's why. Yes.
Oh,
Put it in
God.
this
Yes.
word.
Yes.
And here, the reproductive system is the middle and the digestive system is at the back, isn't it, guys? So if you see any structures, something like this on the exam, yeah, something like this or like this, if you see all these tubes,
We're gonna have that on the exam too.
these are in the lab, so if they're in the lab, they're on the exam, right?
It's easy. I learned it this morning.
So, yeah, so if you look at it, as I said, the anterior most is the urinary system, this is urethra, middle is the reproductive, that's the vagina, and this is the rectum or the anus. Yes, guys?
Okay.
And this is, again, same thing, okay?
Okay.
Once the sperm produce here, sperm move from the testis to this structure. What's this C shape? From the epididymis, it goes to this structure, vas deferens, and you can see that this goes over this is ureter, right? It loops over the ureter. It goes towards the back of the yes, guys, bladder. You understand that, guys? Should I draw it or you with me?
You good, you good.
It's okay. You're good.
I don't draw it. Yeah, you don't want to go. Okay. So you can see that the sperm that is produced go all the way, and then it enters this urethra. What's this urethra called? The one that's in the prostate?
Prostatic.
I said this urethra. God.
Oh, prostatic.
That's the prostatic urethra, right? Everyone understand that, guys? The urethra has how many parts for the male?
Three.
And on the exam, for the female, it's simple. You just say it's a urethra. But for the males, even if it's not specified what is the specific layer, if it is pointing to this part, you are not going to call it just urethra. You'll call it the.
Prostatic.
And this small area that's going, just like we have a diaphragm here, we have a pelvic floor of the pelvis. That's called the pelvic diaphragm or the urogenital diaphragm. It's really a skeletal muscle. That's a membranous. Is that clear?
Yep.
And if it's running through the penis, it's called or the spongy. That's what you call the spongy urethra or the.
Cavernous.
No, spongy urethra. That's it. It's called it's called the penile or the spongy urethra.
So what is the cavernous?
We are not there yet. We'll get there. Okay, that's not urethra. Urethra is just this one. Okay, I'm kidding. You guys good?
Okay.
All right. So here, the dilated portion, you don't need to know the ampulla of the vas deferens, but then we have these three glands. You don't need to know this gland for the lab, but this gland is called the seminal vesicle, and this big gland is called the prostate gland. I said gland, oh God, it's the prostate gland, right? So the seminal vesicle releases secretion. This also releases secretions. So you can see that the vas deferens and the seminal vesicle open into the prostatic urethra as a common duct. Can you see that, guys? And what is the name of this common duct called? It's called you are the best, guys. This is called the what duct? Eject. So if you know this anatomy in your head, that's good. And around the testes, you need to know these two. It's more than two, but you just need to know these two coverings, right, guys? So the skin covering is called a scrotum, and then it's not shown in this picture, but the peritoneum, guys. The peritoneum in the abdomen goes down. It is covering the whole vas deferens. Yes or no, guys? You understand what I said?
Yeah.
And this covering of the peritoneum, this thin membrane, is called what? This whole structure is called this whole is called the spermatic cord, and inside the spermatic cord we have arteries going from the abdomen to the testes, and the veins and the arteries and the nerves, right? And the most important, the one we are looking for here is the what? What goes through the spermatic cord? The vas deferens. All right, so okay, you know all this whole stuff, right? So from the outside, the distal end is called the glans. Yes, guys, that's called the glans penis. And what's this opening, just like the females on the external urethral orifice, right? And then when we look at the internal structures, the erectile tissues, there are two types, right? There are two types, meaning if you look at this picture here, we take a cross section here. Yes, we take cross section. So basically, these run through the whole length. If they run through the whole length, these two are same. They are called the cavernosa. They are called the one that are on the upper or the dorsal surface. These two are called the corpora cavernosa. One is called the corpus cavernosum, right? And the single one is purple. I don't know what this color is the one that's more on the ventral surface. This is called the corpus spongiosum. So the urethra is running through this one. If you point it to this structure, what is this structure, guys? Don't call it urethra, call it the spongy urethra, right, guys? It's the spongy urethra. You got it? So when we look at this structure now here, corpus cavernosum. So talk to your professor. Does your professor want to know the difference between the plural and singular? Then you should be careful. All right. But anyways, plural is corpora cavernosa and singular is corpus cavernosum. All right. And what is this purple thingy? Corpus spongiosum. What's this tube running through it?
Spongy urethra.
You are the best, guys. You are awesome, awesome, awesome.
And the layer of the testes.
Yes, thank you so much. You're the best. Layer of the testis, so that's outer layer. The skin layer is the scrotum. So yeah, the colors look different for thin layer on the outside. This is the peritoneum I was talking about. Here it's called the spermatic cord. Up until here it's called the spermatic cord. Got it, guys? What is it called?
Spermatic cord.
And then when you follow this around the testis, can you see this pinkish layer around it?
It's the vas deferens.
Oh God, who said this about
Tunica
That's the tunica vaginalis. What's this layer called?
Tunica vaginalis.
Look at your list. So this is the scrotum, this is the tunica vaginalis. What's this thing on the exam, guys? What's this thing on the exam?
Spermatic cord.
Good job. And what is this? Testes.
Testes.
What is this on the epididymis? Agree? And epididymis leads to, can you see this whitish structure, occasional?
Vas deferens.
Vas deferens.
Yeah.
So basically, vas deferens is covered by these structures. This is the spermatic cord. What is the structure here?
Tunica
vaginalis.
You're the best. You're the best, Carolyn. Yes. You got it, guys. Everyone understand where the scrotum is, the tunica vaginalis is, and where the
Vas deferens and spermatic cord.
you are. So, let me go over a couple of pictures I did miss here. So this is actually the vas deferens going all the way up, and this part is shown here. So can you see it's coming here now? You can see the whole vas deferens, right? It's going over the ureter. Agree? So it's going behind the bladder. This is the urinary bladder.
Yes.
If this is the vas deferens, what is the structure?
Seminal.
Seminal vesicle. So both of them open together into the
Prostate.
prostatic urethra. What's the name of this tube called? I'll show you a picture of that.
Ejaculatory
Yes.
urethra.
And what's this straight tube here
The
inside?
prostatic urethra.
You are awesome. So if you see a cut section now here,
That's what I mean.
if you see a cut section here, what do you call this tube here, the diagonal one?
That's the
Ejaculatory.
ejaculatory.
And what's this straight one?
Prostatic
Prostatic.
And can you see this is the muscle here, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the urogenital or the pelvic floor. So can you see this tube, really small, one less than a centimeter. This is the
Membranous.
excellent membranous or the intermediate. And what is this one called?
The spongy
Now
urethra.
you got it. What is this specific structure?
Spongy
Urethra. This is the external urethra. This what's the structure?
glands.
Or the region? Same thing. Glands. Yes. This
Can
is
we go
a,
over that. Just one more time. Yeah, that. Like
so
that.
the one at the top
That's
are the
the-
corpora cavernosa,
Uh-huh.
and one is the corpus spongiosum.
Okay, and then that's
The hole in the
spongy
middle.
urethra.
And this is the urethra. That's the glans. External urethral orifice, right?
Okay.
Front goes all the way here. What is this thing on the outside?
Spermatic
Spermatic.
You are the best. And you hardly can see the spermatic vas deferens here. Yeah, this is the. Hold on. This is still the spermatic cord, right? You can hardly see the vas deferens here, right? But you can see the vas deferens here, right? And what is the structure?
The cervical
You are the best.
The prostatic one. That's the bladder.
What's this?
We don't know.
know
It's
that
okay.
one.
Just